Hey guys, welcome to M&MM IELTS. This is Mohit here, and today I will be covering one of the reading topics, and that is answer short questions. Now, answer short questions again is one of those topics. When we hear the name answer short questions, we kind of know what are we expected, what should be the question type, and what should be the answer type. But let us understand how is it different in IELTS compared to normal other exams, or maybe your normal university or college exams or your school exams. So let us understand what is answer short questions in IELTS. So obviously it is reading type, so you will see it in reading type questions. Now, because there are 11 different types of questions in reading section or reading type, you may find some of them in your exam, you may not find some of them in your exam. And I have seen papers where I haven't found answer short questions in those exam papers or exam style papers. So if you don't get answer short questions in your exam, don't think that you have wasted your time preparing for it, because when you are preparing your reading section, you are exactly not aware what question will you get and what question will you not get. You may get any and you may not get a few. So I would recommend you to treat every single question with equal importance and prepare every single type of question in your reading section, so that whatever you get, no matter what type of question you get, you can solve it confidently in your exam. All right. Now let us understand what happens in answer short questions. So again, because it's reading section, it is very obvious that you may get a paragraph or several paragraphs. So let's say this is one, you get, let's say this is three. We have three paragraphs, okay? I'll name it as 1, 2, and 3 for you. And these are my paragraphs. Now I know that paragraphs means source of truth, source of information. So I will find my answers in these paragraphs. So they will be the first thing given to me. And then they will also give you some instruction. Let's say this is instruction. And then they will give you some questions. Let's say 15, 16, and 17. They have given you three questions and they will say question 15 to 17 are answer short questions, or answer these questions in short and complete it, and you will find the answers in the paragraph given to you. So let's say these are my three questions. This is my instruction given, and these are my paragraphs, which is nothing else but source of truth or information. Now, first things first, I want to share, and that is, I have seen a lot of students, they underestimate this topic, answer short questions. They think, oh, it is a very easy topic, I don't need to prepare a lot. I agree, it is not as difficult as other reading topics. I agree with that, but I don't agree that you don't need to prepare it, because if you don't practice and prepare it before exam, you may not be able to solve it with that speed, with that efficiency that is required in exam. Because in exam you are stressed, you have time limit, you want to perform good, you want to get those bands, and you want to achieve whatever is your desired score. So practice not as much as other topics which are difficult, but at least a few questions every few days, so that in exam you don't feel uncomfortable solving answer short questions. Now, the first thing I will do is, as many other reading questions, and that is, I will read the instruction very, very carefully. Why do I say read the instruction very carefully? The reason is, answer short question will always have a word limit to answer your questions. Let's say they might say no more than 3 words to be included in your answer, or include between 1 to 3 words, or include between 2 to 3 words. Such instructions will be given in this instruction category. If you don't read it, you are exactly not sure how many words do you need to write in your exam. All right, let's say this instruction says question 15 to 17 have to be answered shortly, and make sure that your answers are no more than 3 words. So you know exactly that your answer can be either 1 word or 2 words or maximum 3 words. The moment you go more than 3, you do not get any score for that question or those questions if you have crossed your word limit, no matter how good or correct your answer is. So word limit is extremely important. Next thing that I want to share is, after reading the instruction, when you know, okay, this is what you need to write in your answers, I mean the word limit and everything like that, next thing you would do is just have a quick look at the paragraph, how many paragraphs you have, I mean the passage, how many paragraphs you have, and then have a quick look at the question, how many number of questions do you have. Now that you know that there are 2 or 3 questions and 2 or 3 paragraphs, or whatever number of paragraphs and questions you have got in exam, the next thing you need to keep in mind is, let's say 15, 16 and 17 are my questions. All right. I will always start solving these questions in the order they are given. I mean, I will always start with the 15th question first and then 16th and then 17th. I will not change the order of the questions. Why? Because I will always find my answers in the passage in that order. Meaning, I will always find the answer of 15th question first, only then I will find somewhere the answer of 16th and then somewhere the answer of 17th. It is not possible that you get the answer of 17th question in the first paragraph and then 15th question in the second paragraph. Because I know that I will find those answers in the correct order, I will start solving the questions in the order it is given to me. The next thing I need to keep in mind is, let's say I will give you a very simple example. 15th question is, what color flags are most common in universities of Australia? A very random question. This is not exam question. I have never seen this question anywhere. It's just something random to give you a basic example, okay? So don't think this is any exam question. Now you have a question in front of you. Whenever you look for answer in the paragraph, you have to understand one thing. If you find the answer somewhere, anywhere in the paragraph, you will use the exact same word, whatever you have in those paragraphs, and you will write down your answer in the space given to you. You will not change the words, you will not use synonyms or any other form of words. The maximum change you can do is change in tense. Let's say if you need to write down answer in past tense based on the question you have been asked, or if you need to write down the answer in the form of ing based on the question you have been asked, that level of change is okay. You won't lose any marks for that. But let's say if the answer in the paragraph is orange, let's say for example, then just because you want to make it look a little fancy and you want to show your vocabulary, please do not write saffron here. Saffron and orange may not have the same meaning. Let's not get into technical details, but if you feel saffron and orange is the same, and just to make it look a little more nice, you have written saffron as the answer, trust me, you're not getting your score. You will lose your marks because saffron was not there in the paragraph. If orange was there in the paragraph, please write orange. Do not change any word. Try to keep it as same as possible from the paragraphs given to you. Now, the next thing that I want to share, which is the most important, is how should I tackle the question? What should I read first? Where should I start from? What should be my approach? Let us understand that. As many other questions in reading section, this is no different. First things first, I will read the instruction. That will be my very first thing. Before I look at my paragraphs or passages or my questions, the first thing is I need to read the instruction and understand how many words can I write in answer. Step number 1. Step 2 is I will look at the questions given to me. All right, questions. So let's say in this case, question 15 to 17 is given to me as answer short questions. I will look at those questions. Whenever I personally solve any reading question and there is a question given to me, what I do is whenever I read a question, I always highlight the important words in that question. When I highlight those important words, my brain kind of gets that signal that these are the words or something related to those words is what I'm looking for in those paragraphs that have been given to you. So, along with reading the questions, highlight the important words or underline the important words and get yourself aware. Tell your brain that, okay, something related to these words is what we need to look for in the paragraphs. So that is my step 2. And then obviously, now that I know what sort of information I am looking for in those passages, the last and final step is to start scanning the paragraphs and looking for something similar or the exact same word in the passage. Most of the cases, if you're lucky, you may get same words as questions in the paragraphs, but most of the cases you may not get something similar. You may get a synonym or something that means the same, but they may have used different words, whatever you have in your question. So never look for the exact same words in the paragraph as your question, but try to understand the meaning of the question, highlight the important words, understand what the question is asking, and then scan the paragraphs. Maybe if you have any number or any date that they cannot change in the paragraph, that they will keep it as same. So look for those dates or numbers or something similar piece of information and then look for your answer. All right, we'll do one question and see how it goes. So I'll just write down the last step here as scan the paragraphs and look for answer. So this is the gist, obviously, how to solve this question, but let us do one question and see how to actually solve this type of question. Let's get started. All right, so on your screen, whatever you see is an example of answer short question. Let us read the instruction first as discussed. Complete the table below using information from reading passage 3. So obviously they have given us passage. Write no more than 3 words for each answer. Write your answers in boxes 29 to 35 on your answer sheet. Now I know that I can only use 1 word or 2 words or maximum 3 words. The moment I use more than 3, I don't get any score. So I have understood the question, I have read the instructions, step 1 is done. Awesome. Now let us move on to step 2. Let us keep this video short and to the point and only do 2 questions, 29 and 30. I just want to show you what should be your approach, and then you can solve similar questions wherever you find them or whatever is your source of practice. Now, question number 29 and 30, let's read them. So, I have to look for something that is referring to the building materials, and it is for the period before 18th century. Okay, so my important words are before 18th century, obviously the entire thing, and some building materials. Now my brain knows that before 18th century some sort of building material was used, and that is my answer number 29. This is what I have told my brain. Next is 1920s. So I have to look for something related to 1920s, and something was introduced in 1920s, introduction of something. So something was introduced in 1920s and it is related to some sort of style of period. Okay, now if I have got confusion what is style of period, have a look here. Traditional, modernism. So something related to traditional, modernism or some sort of style in 1920s is my answer number 30. All right, so I know that in 29 I'm looking for something before 18th century and some sort of a building material, and answer number 30 I'm looking for something in the era of 1920s, some sort of thing was introduced related to some style. Now let's clean this up so that we don't get confused, but now I exactly know what am I looking for. And when you get so many questions in the exam, it's best to read 2 questions, underline the highlight the important word for those 2 questions, and then look for those 2 answers in the paragraphs. When those are done, move towards the next 2, 31 and 32. When these are done, move towards 33 and 34. Because imagine this, If you read 29 to 35 all at once, highlight the important words for all of them and start looking for answers for all of them, it's very, very difficult that you'll remember everything from 29 to 35. That's practically not possible. So let's say two at a time is the best approach according to me. So let us again clean this up and start looking for answer number 29 and 30. Now I will go back to the paragraph. This is my paragraph. Let us start scanning. I'll give you some time to have a look. If you find your answer on this page, that's great. Just pause the video. First, look for the answer yourself and then play the video and see if you can match with the answer I discussed. That way you learn more. All right. So you can pause the video now and look for answer number 29 and 30. To make it easy, I'll write it down for here. In 29th, we are looking for something before 18th century and some sort of building material. That is what we are looking for 29. And 30, we are looking for something in 1920s, some sort of style we are looking for. All right. And that will be my answer. Okay. Let us start looking now. So first things first, I know I'm looking for something in 18th century, before the 18th century. It's very easy to find the word 18th century first. So I'll quickly scan the paragraphs. So I'm looking at the first one. I don't find anything. The use of an architectural style cannot be said. Okay, second paragraph, what is now generally known as modern architecture. Okay, I found 18th and 19th century here. So my answer can be somewhere here. Let us read this now. But the origins, I'm starting to read from here. But the origins of what is now generally known as modern architecture can be traced back to the social and technological changes of the 18th and 19th centuries. Instead of using timber, stone, and traditional building techniques, architects began to explore ways of creating buildings by using the latest technology and materials such as steel. Instead of using timber, stone, and traditional building techniques. This should be my answer. Why? Because instead of using this material, what they started to use from 18th and 19th century is whatever is described here. Have a quick read at the full paragraph from here. The use of an architectural style cannot be said to start or finish on a specific date. Neither is it possible to say exactly what characterizes a particular movement. But the origins of what is now generally known as modern architecture can be traced back to the social and technological. Let me clean this up for you. Can be traced back to the social and technological changes of 18th and 19th century. So this is an era. Instead of using timber, stone, and traditional building techniques, architects began to explore ways. So this was used before this era, and in this era, instead of using this, they started using something new. Obviously, you need to use your brain because they will not exactly write what you need. They will not write that before 18th century they were using timber and stone and technological advances. They will not make your life that easy. You need to look for the meaning in the paragraph, and hence I have understood that my answer is timber, stone, and traditional building techniques, but I cannot write more than 3 words, so I can simply write down timber and stone. So my answer number 29 will be timber and stone, because this makes sense, and it's okay to not write the third one because I cannot write more than 3 words. So my 29th question is done. Now, what am I looking for in answer number 30? Now that I know that I've found my answer number 29 somewhere here, I'm pretty sure that I do not need to look back to this part of the paragraph because it is always in order. So that's a good thing. 30th. I have to look for 1920s because something in 1920s was introduced. Let us look for the word 1920s. Very easy. I just saw it here. So let's read it. By the 1920s, architects throughout Europe were reacting against the conditions created by industrialization, a new style of architecture emerged to reflect more idealistic notions for the future. It was made possible by new materials and construction techniques and was known as modernism. Something was introduced and was known as modernism. So modernism is something that happened in 1920s. It was known as modernism. Whatever process happened, they have described that process into one word, and that is modernism. Because after that, from here you see they have started talking about 1930s. If you have a look here, they've started talking about 1930s. So my answer cannot be in 1930s. It has to be in 1920s paragraph. And there is only one thing that started, it was, it began to know, and that is modernism. So that is my new style that evolved in 1920s, and that is modernism. Now I know that my answer number 30 is here. So which means I do not need to look back till here for 31 and beyond. I will start reading it from here. So I hope you understand what should be your approach for answer short questions in reading section. Yes, it is not always straightforward. Sometimes it is very straightforward. But the more you practice, the more your brain will be familiarized with the style of the answers, or the style, the way answers are put in paragraphs. All right. With that, I'll take your leave. If you have any questions regarding IELTS, feel free to put those questions in the comment section below, and we are more than happy to answer those questions through replying in those comment section. And if we need that it needs more than a reply, then we might just make a video on it and put it on our YouTube channel, so that you can have access to your question in the form of video answer, and that will just make your life easy. I'll take your leave, and bye for now.